up there. Do you hear that?
Honey, it's probably just a drunken, semi-naked mock exorcism. Boys will be boys.
Candidates drink from the skull. Let's say it happens, okay? My response, so what?
Basically have a YouTube show telling people what we're getting from the demons these days.
Right, that would be fantastic.
Just from a layman's perspective, it looks to me like the exorcism was a miserable failure.
Detroit's Satanic Temple has erected a Snaketivity scene across from a nativity scene. And this goes to show many things, such as that just like atheists, and I wouldn't be surprised if all of the members of the Satanic Temple are atheists, they are an anti-Christian support group. They only lash out against Christianity. They have no original ideas, but can only pervert and mock. Now, the spokesperson for the group claimed that they do not worship Satan. And one of the things that she said is that they emphasize individuality, which I would call into question, considering that all of them look exactly alike. All of them look exactly like every goth you have ever seen in your whole entire life. Isn't that funny? Like, I don't know, think about these tattoo conventions, right? These meeting of the great rebels of society who stick it to the man, who flaunt society's conventions, who are individualistic, and they all look exactly alike. It's a riot. So I guess, you know, when you become a true individual, you all end up looking exactly the same. So this monument is pretty interesting. It consists of the symbol for sulfur. And this is made up within the monument by a cross that has two cross beams. So one vertical and two horizontal. And then the way they wrapped the snake around it forms the infinity sign at the bottom. So the combination of this doubled cross with the infinity sign at the bottom, that makes up the sign for sulfur. And at the top of the cross is the goat of Mendes, with a particular emphasis on Baphomet, as it is an encircled pentagram. So it's a pentacle that's upside down with the goat within it. And yet at the top of the head of the goat, you can see a little Luciferian torch. So you know it has a relation to Baphomet. Now across one of the cross beams, it says that the greatest gift is knowledge. And that really seals the deal. Because, one more thing to mention. Resting upon this display is a book they placed there that is called The Revolt of the Angels. So putting the whole picture together, The Revolt of the Angels is a book about an angel named Arcade that comes to Earth, studies science and philosophy, concludes that God does not understand the world and therefore could not have created it, and so he joins a band of fallen angels to fight against God. And, this is the basic satanic Gnostic doctrine, which is exactly that the world is corrupt, and therefore must have been created by a corrupt being, and since the God of the Bible is said to have created the world, then the God of the Bible is corrupt. Then you combine this with the concept of the illumination that the goat is bringing, the goat of Mendes, Baphomet goat, with the concept of that the greatest gift is knowledge. And that's the whole satanic Gnostic story, that this God of the Bible sought to keep humanity nice and ignorant like by keeping them from the knowledge of good and evil. And that the snake this satanic being, came and liberated humanity and gave us that knowledge, allowed us access to it. Okay, now within Genesis, 9 times before the tree of the knowledge of good and evil is ever mentioned, 9 times good is mentioned. So good is already in existence. So what could the knowledge of good and evil bring us except for evil? Right? The knowledge of good and evil, the dichotomy between good and evil. And since good was already in existence, the only thing that Satan brought us is evil. And this apparently is something we're supposed to celebrate as liberating. So there you have the concept of the great liberator of humanity. And this story has been told in many, many different ways. For example, through the myth of Prometheus. That on the surface sounds good, but when you understand what it's saying, you understand it's the same story, right? Prometheus, the Titan, who stole fire from the gods and gave it to humanity against Zeus's will. So it's the same story. He's bringing illumination, right? The torch on the head of Baphomet. He's bringing that illumination to humanity against God's will. So that they too, within that myth, you would also think, wow, isn't that wonderful? Prometheus is wonderful. He brought us fire. And of course, that's a very important technology. Well, sure it is, but read into the myth what is actually being told. And it's not surprising that within the modern day TV show Supernatural, they refer to Prometheus as humanity's savior. And so within this little display, you actually learn a lot about the satanic doctrine and satanic Gnosticism, and just in how many ways it finds its way into the corrupt minds of men to formulate means by which to rebel against God by accepting the satanic doctrine, which is basically just to take everything God has done and turn it inside out, upside down.